let's go again. Right. Full disclosure, we just recorded this episode, but there was a fault, wasn't there? Yeah, not my fault. No, it wasn't my fault either. The file was corrupted, so we're having to record this episode all over again. Luckily, it was a decent movie we're speaking about. Wasn't it? Yeah. We watched a horror movie. It's called A Nightmare On Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Dream Warriors. Let's get into it. Again. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors, from 1987. It lasts 1 hour 36 minutes. It stars Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. It stars Patricia Arquette. It stars John Saxon. And it stars Heather Langenkamp, who is returning from the first movie as Nancy. Yeah. So, it's night time. We open up and it's night time, as with a lot of these movies. And we see a young lady, Kirsten, who's played by Patricia Arquette, and she is building a little house, a little model house, made out of paper mache. Papier-mâché. But papier-mâché. That's better. Okay. And it's a little, just a regular little house you might see in a street. That you're looking, it's not finished, so it looks a bit creepy. And we also see it's 1:20 AM. Now Kirsten doesn't want to go to sleep. No, she's drinking cola and also eating dry coffee grains. Yeah, she's basically getting as much caffeine in her as possible to keep her awake. But then her mum comes in. Yeah, her mum comes into the room. And her mum's clearly just back from a date, and she has a gentleman caller downstairs, and he calls up, "Where's the whiskey?" Well, it's America, so he calls up, "Where's the scotch?" Oh yeah, that's right, yeah. And Kirsten's mum tells Kirsten, "Get to bed, it's too late, you need to get to sleep." So Kirsten goes to bed, and she dozes off, but then she opens her eyes, and she is standing in front of a life-size version of the little house that she was building. Yeah, this is not papier-mâché. No. And there are a bunch of kids outside. Yeah, they're creepy. Well, there's little children outside the house, and they're skipping rope and playing games and riding bikes. And they're singing a song. Yeah, do you remember the song? 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, to lock your door. 5, 6, grab a crucifix. 7, 8, let her stay up late. 9, 10, let her sleep again. Alright. Well, that's it. Well, yeah, it is, but calm down. Your t-shirt looks like TV interference. One of the little children leads Kirsten inside the house. Yeah, she just goes, yeah. And then there's a sound, and the little girl who led Kirsten into the house says, "Freddy's home." Uh-oh. And they go down to the basement, and the little girl says, "This is where he takes us." Yeah, he needs locking up. Yeah, well, I think Freddy Krueger got a bit more than locking up. What do you mean? Well, we'll get into it. But Freddy Krueger appears. Yeah, he's this guy, and he's got a darn face, and he's got this red and black. No, red and green jumper. Everyone thinks it's red and black, but it's red and green, just dark green. And he's got this little dirty hat. And he's got he's got a glove. He's got a glove that's like knives or fingers. It's a very distinct look. Yeah. He can tell it off though, I guess. Kirsten manages to escape, and she opens her eyes and she's back in her own house in the bathroom. Did it still a dream? Yeah, it's still a dream. Freddy's there, and he reaches out and he cuts her across the wrists. Yeah, and just at that moment she wakes up, and her nun comes in the bathroom and thinks she's cut herself. So it's straight to the psychiatric hospital. Weston Halls. Kirsten is being sociable and amicable, but then as soon as they try to sedate her, she goes crazy and starts kicking tables over and things like that, and lashing out at people. Yeah, she doesn't want to go to sleep again. Yeah, you can't really blame her. But then someone comes in and calms her down. Nancy! Yeah, Nancy from the first movie comes in and says, "It's okay, I know what you're going through." And then we meet Max, the hospital porter. Yeah, it's Norface again. We just saw him a few weeks ago in Death Wish 2. That's right, we did, yeah. But this time he's Max. And he introduces us to a couple more characters from the movie. Yeah, we meet Philip. And Philip is a sleepwalker, and he also makes puppets. Yeah, he does. He makes like marionette puppets, the string puppets. It's not puppet like. Listen to that. Well, we also meet Kincaid, who's this angry, tough guy, isn't he? Yeah, he's really angry, really aggressive. They seems cool. Yeah. Also in this scene we meet Joey, he seems like a nice guy, but he is mute. Yeah, that means he doesn't speak. Yeah, they know. Later, Kirsten is in bed in the hospital and she's going for a sleep. And as she falls asleep, she finds herself in this house again. Yeah, it's the living room this time. Yeah, and all that's really in the room is a big rug. And underneath the rug, there's something tunneling. It's like, you know, did you see Doug's Dunny? Remember when Doug's Dunny used to travel, and he'd dig through the ground and he'd leave that mound behind on that tunnel, that all that dirt? It's kind of like that, except this thing goes up through the walls, and it bursts out through the walls, and it's a snake. It's a giant snake. It's like 30 foot, at least, and it's got Freddy Krueger's head. And it grabs Kirsten, it starts to eat her. It's not looking good for Kirsten. That Kirsten cries out and shouts, "Nancy, help me!" And Nancy is pulled into the dream. She is. It's pretty cool. Nancy has gone to sleep in a little chair in the office, and she's pulled into Kirsten's dream. She comes to her rescue, picks up a piece of glass, and stabs the snake in the eye. Oh yeah. And the snake rears up, and it recognises her, and it says, "Yeah." And then they both escape and both wake up. Yeah, and then Nancy asks, how did Kirsten do that? How can you bring someone into your dream? And Kirsten says, it's something I've always been able to do. I used to do it as a little girl with my dad before he went away, but I haven't done it for a long time. But thank you for coming to my rescue. So she's got this cool power. Right, we should say who Freddy Krueger is, I guess. Right, so if you've never seen a Nightmare on Elm Street film, or if you don't know who Freddy Krueger is, he's this guy, as Ned said, he's got a burned face, and a hat, and the glove, it's like all his fingers are knives. And what else? Oh, the red and green jumper. Yeah, he's scary. Yeah, he is. And he goes after people in their dreams. And the reason he goes after people in their dreams is because, it's usually teenagers, it's because when he was alive, he took children away and they were never seen again. So a lot of the parents on this street where he lived, Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street, yeah, Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street, yeah, they get it, on Elm Street, they took the law into their own hands and they set him on fire. Yeah, that's what they did. Yeah, not his house. They didn't set his house on fire. They set him on fire. Yeah, sorry Freddy, shouldn't have been doing things to kids. Well, this is true. By the way, see that bit of the snake? Yeah, this is what I really like in this movie. The effects are so cool, and there's no computers. Oh, you mean there's no CGI? Yeah, it's all done by hand. This is true, so all the scary stuff and all these special effects, they're all models or handmade or things like that. And they're so cool. They are. Anyway, the next day, there's a group therapy session, and we meet a couple more characters. We meet Will, who is in a wheelchair. Yeah, and we meet Jennifer, and Jennifer really wants to be on TV. She wants to be a big star. And they meet Taryn. Yeah, you like Taryn, don't you? Yeah, she's cool. Yeah, Taryn, she was formerly addicted to certain things, but now she is just this cool girl. She's tough. Yeah. We find out they all share a common thing. They all have bad dreams, but no one will say what their dreams are about. No, they're all just bad dreams. Nightmares, if you will. Yeah, we will. Okay. We see that in the hospital, each bedroom has 2 beds, generally. So, Joey and Will share a room, and they take turns staying up for a couple of hours. So, Joey sleeps while Will stays awake for 2 hours, and then Will will go to sleep while Joey stays awake, and they can wake each other up if it looks like they're in trouble in their dream. Yeah. And across the hall we see Kincaid and Philip sharing a room. Now Philip stands up and starts to walk out of the room, but Kincaid's seen him sleepwalking so many times before, he thinks he's just sleepwalking again, so he says, "Enjoy your walk, dumbass," or something like that. But what's actually happening is Freddy Krueger has cut open the arms of Philip and he's pulled out his veins. And he's controlling him like one of his puppets, like a marionette. Yeah, and he's making him walk along and he takes him right up to the top of the tower in the hospital. And then he appears in the sky and everyone wakes up. Yeah, they all wake up and rush to the window and they're all shouting, "Philip, no, wake up, Philip. Philip, don't jump, Philip." But Freddy makes him jump. Yeah, Freddy makes him jump off the building. And the next day, all the staff think it was just Philip's choice. Freddy's clever. Yeah, he's cunning. Yeah, he is. Now, Nancy makes friends with one of the head doctors at the psychiatric hospital, and his name is Neil, and he fancies her. I think he does. But she convinces him to try Hypnosil for an experimental new medicine which will let the teenagers sleep but not dream. It's something Nancy has been using herself and she says it works great. Meanwhile, Kincaid has had an angry outburst because of what happened to Philip and because no one will believe that he wasn't just sleepwalking. So he's put in the solitary confinement cell, which is this little padded room, isn't it? Yeah, and he's in there, he's angry, he is. But meanwhile, Jennifer is staying awake. She's sitting in the TV room on her own, watching late night TV, and she's burning herself with cigarettes to keep herself awake. Yeah. Okay, yeah, well, it'll keep her awake, I suppose. Yeah. She's watching TV, and the TV is this old style big box TV that's mounted up on the wall, and it's about, I don't know, 10 foot off the ground? Sure, okay. And while she's watching the TV, two mechanical arms come out from the side, don't they? Yeah, it's cool. And then they grab her, and they pick her up, and Freddy Krueger's head comes out of the top of the TV. Yeah, he grabs her, and he looks at her. You see it. He says, "Welcome to prime time, bitch." And he pulls her into the TV, just smashes her head through the screen. Yeah, so she's dangling. She is. She's dangling like her feet are about 3 feet off the ground. And the hospital staff are still like, "Oh, she did it to herself." Pretty soon we're at a funeral. I don't know if it's Jennifer's or if it's Philip's or maybe both. It might be both, yeah. After the funeral, they all return and have a group therapy session. The group's getting smaller, yeah. But while there, Nancy reveals she knows what they're dreaming about. And she reveals that she had also, in the past, dreamt of Freddy Krueger. And she had battled him and defeated him. Yeah, she says, he's got a dirty jumper, it's all red and green stripes, a dirty little hat, and this horrible glove, and he's all burned. Yeah, and they're all like, "Oh my goodness." And then she tells everyone about Kirsten's power. Kirsten can pull other people into her dreams, so they can maybe team up in dreams. Yeah. She also reveals that the reason these particular teenagers are being haunted by Freddy is because they are the last of the Elm Street children. Their parents took part in burning Freddy when he was alive, and they are the last of the Elm Street children. Yeah, although there are Thorner movies. Well, yeah, but let's not worry about that. In the group, they decide to try some group hypnosis. So Neil takes charge and he hypnotises everyone, and it seems like it hasn't worked. So they're all sitting around saying, "Oh well, maybe we can try again later." And then Joey sees an attractive nurse in the hall. He had the hots for this nurse at the start of the movie. Yeah, so he sneaks out and he follows this nurse because she beckons him, doesn't she? Yeah, she goes. Yeah, that's beckoning. While he's gone, the rest of the group realise that the hypnosis has worked because a couple of freaky things start happening. Yeah, and Will stands up from his wheelchair and he says, "Look, this is what I can do in my dream." And he can stand up and he can walk and he can also become a wizard. Yeah, he does magic. He does. He pulls out this little wizard's hat and casts a spell. It's weird. It is a bit, but I guess it's Dreamland, you can do anything. Kincaid has super strength. He picks up a chair and bends the metal legs. Yeah. Taryn has become a cool punk rocker. Yeah, she's got switchblades and she's looking cool and tough. And in Dreamland, you can do whatever you want. And yeah, and Kirsten does, you'll never believe it. In Dreamland, you can do anything you want. Kirsten does a backflip. Yeah, I don't know if that's the best use of her powers, but okay. But yeah, she does a backflip. But it's Kirsten that's bringing them all together. Because of her, they can all share the same dream. And then we cut back to Joey, and he is in a little bedroom with this nurse. And she takes her clothes off. Yeah, she does. You see everything? Alright, okay. And she's seducing Joey. And she puts him down on the bed. And he lays there, and she starts kissing him. Yeah. But then she's got this really long tongue, and it stretches. And then she sticks her tongue out, and the rats are in Joey's wrist, and ties them to the bedpost. Yeah, and she does that 3 more times. She fires these big tongues out of her mouth, one for each wrist and one for each ankle, and he's tied to the bed. And then we know it's Freddy Krueger by this point. Yeah, and then an actress falls away from under Joey, and he's another fire tit. Yeah, it's like he's above the fires of hell. Yeah, he's scared. Yeah, I'd be scared too. The group eventually realise Joey is missing, so they go to find him. They burst into the room just as Freddy vanishes, and Joey is unconscious. He's in a coma. Yeah, and they're all shouting and screaming, and then one of the heads of the hospital, this lady, she comes along and opens the door, and she says, "What's going on here?" And she sacks Neil. Yeah, Neil's sacked. He's gone. Now, on his way out of the hospital, Neil sees a nun. Yeah, he says he'll have none of that. No, he sees a nun. He says she's got a nasty habit. No, he sees a nun and he he follows her, and she leads him up to the top of the hospital and to this secluded wing, which apparently hasn't been used for years. Yeah, so it turns out this little room, this wing of the hospital, used to hold the worst of the criminally insane patients. Yeah, so one time in the 1940s, all the staff went on holiday, but one member of staff, one young lady, was locked in this room accidentally with all these criminally insane patients. Yeah, and they all attacked her again and again and again and again. Yeah, they did, yeah. By the time she was found, days later, she was barely alive, but she was pregnant. She gave birth to a little boy. Freddy Krueger, the dastard son of 100 maniacs. That's what she says. How is she accidentally locked in there though? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that happens. Check the lights? Yet. Lock the doors? Yet. Turned off the stove? Yet. Left a note for the milkman? Yet. Check the wing for the criminally insane just in case a young lady's trapped in there? Nah, it'll be fine. Now, the nun also reveals that the only way to stop Freddy Krueger from haunting these people's dreams is to find his remains and bury them in sacred ground. Yeah. Meanwhile, Nancy is sitting beside Joey, who's still in a coma. Suddenly his shirt rips open and words start appearing written on his chest. Yeah, they're scratched in there. Obviously by Freddy and Dreamland, and they're you can see them in real life. Yeah, because that's what Freddy does. Anything he does to you in a dream shows up in real life, so if he cuts your hand, you'll have a cut hand when you wake up. Which is why a lot of his kills look like it's people doing it to themselves. Yeah. He's crafty. Yeah, he is. But he writes on Joey's chest, "Come and get him, bitch." Yeah. He's a misogynist. Oh, he's a lot of things. Nancy goes and finds Neil, and she takes him to a bar where they find her dad, who was also in the first one. Yeah, he's a cop, that he's drunk. Yeah, he is. And he agrees to help them find Freddy's remains because he knows where they are. Because he took them there. Yeah, he was a cop when they all took Freddy out. Yeah. And as a cop, he was able to dispose of the remains. But he didn't dispose of them that well, did he? No, they're in the boot of the car. Sorry, Americans, the trunk of the car. So Nancy goes back to the hospital to check on the teenagers. Meanwhile, Neil and Nancy's dad go to a church to get some holy water. Yeah, Neil just steals it in a little bottle and a crucifix, and he says, "Don't worry, Father, I'll make a donation." He doesn't. And then they drive to this scrapyard, which is where Nancy's dad tells him Freddy's remains lie in the trunk of the car. Yeah, I don't know why. Nancy's back at the hospital. She gets a group meeting, but she finds out that Kirsten has been put in a padded cell. Yeah, and sedated. Yeah, now she convinces the group to try hypnosis again, because that way Kirsten can pull them all back into the same dream and they can share that same dream and hopefully battle Freddy Krueger together rather than on their own. Yeah, it's a good plan. Well, as good as a plan as you're going to get. So, they all do it, they all fall asleep, and they all join Kirsten in her cell. Yeah, and they still get separated. They do initially, they get separated. But she blinks and then it's back to the start of the movie, isn't it? Yeah, she's been held in that little tatty and ashy house. And then her nun comes in and says, "Get to dead." And that guy calls up and he says, "Where's the scotch?" Yeah, but this time when he calls up, "Where's the scotch?" it's not in his voice, it's in Freddy Krueger's voice. Yeah, and then Freddy appears behind the nun and cuts her head off. Yeah. And then instantly Kirsten is back in the old house and they're all there. Kincaid and Taryn and Will and Nancy. Yeah, and Nancy says, "This is my old house. How are you building this house?" Yeah, Kirsten's just been dreaming about it. That's why she built it. Then they do get separated again, and Taryn is in this like little back alley of a street, isn't she? Yeah, it's like this dodgy place. You wouldn't want to go at night. No, there's neon signs and it's been raining and there's puddles and it's graffiti everywhere. And she's walking along and she meets Freddy. Yeah, that she's tough. So she says, "Let's fight." So she takes her little switchblades and they have a little fight. His claws and her switchblades. And it's quite good that then Freddy's just too powerful. And because she used to be addicted to certain things, she has little holes in her arms. And these holes open up. And they become little mouths. Yeah, and then Freddy Krueger, all 10 of his fingers become like syringes, don't they? Yeah, and he puts them in the little mouths. Yeah, and Taryn is no more. She's gone. We then see Will is on his own, and he is walking along, and then he sees a wheelchair, but it's not a regular wheelchair. It's covered in spikes and sharp things, and it's chasing after him, but he manages to dodge it, doesn't he? Yeah, and then he meets Freddy Krueger. And he says, "I'm not afraid of you, Freddy. I am a powerful wizard." And he looks like Merlin from Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. Kind of. He's got a big collar though. Yeah, like Dracula. Yeah, it's a bit strange. Anyway, he says, "I'm going to use my magic to defeat you, Freddy." Freddy doesn't flinch at all. No, he just takes his claws and puts them into Will. And that's Will over. Completely pointless. Being a lizard, there is nothing at all that happens or comes from that. He just gets done in straight away. Oh well. Kincaid, Nancy and Kirsten are all together and they decide, right, let's go after Freddy and let's get our friend Joey back. Meanwhile, at the scrapyard, Neil and Nancy's dad find Freddy Krueger's remains in the trunk of a car, and it's a full-size skeleton. Didn't even break it up or like separate it or bury it or anything. It's just a full-size skeleton, and they take it out and they're going to bury it there and then. Yeah, so they start digging a hole, and then they cut back to the house. Freddy is about to fight Kincaid, and then he just vanishes. Yeah, he does. He vanishes because his remains have been disturbed, so he has to go and deal with that. So this skeleton is inhabited by the spirit of Freddy Krueger, but it's just a skeleton. It jumps up. Skeleton fight! Yeah, it's pretty cool. It jumps up and it starts to fight Nancy's dad and Neil. Yeah, and it takes out Nancy's dad quickly and kills him. Yeah, it does. So he's gone. And then Neil, yeah, It takes out the shovel and just hits Neil in the head. Bonk. Neil's unconscious and he falls in the grave. It's hilarious. Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to be. It is. Okay. While he was gone, the trio back at the house managed to find Joey and they untie him and they're taking him along and they're taking him to get out of there. They're walking along this hall filled with mirrors. Yeah, lots and lots and lots of mirrors. Yeah, and Freddy appears in every single mirror, doesn't he? Yeah, and he's like, I'm gonna get you. And he's reaching through the mirrors trying to catch them. Yeah, and he almost gets them. But then Joey, who is mute, screams really loudly. Yeah, he goes, ah, no, don't do it. But he screams really loudly. And all the mirrors shatter and Freddy disappears. So they start to get out there. They go into this other room and Nancy's father appears. Yeah, he's standing there all ghostly and with this like gentle white glow around him, like the Archangel Gabriel. And he says, I love you, Nancy. Yeah, and she goes up to him and guess what? It's Freddy. He stabs her and she collapses. Yeah. So again, Kincaid, Kirsten and Joey tried to fight off Freddy. But Kirsten gets locked in a room alone with Freddy Krueger and he's about to swipe at her. He's about to take her out and then at the same time we see Neil has regained consciousness in the scrapyard. So he takes the bones, he puts them in the hole and he sprinkles down the holy water and he buries the bones, doesn't he? Yeah, and Kirsten's just about to be swiped, but then Freddy disappears. Yeah, he's gone. His remains are now buried in sacred ground because of the holy water. Yeah, and his soul is at rest, just like the nun said. That's right, yeah. Kirsten goes to Nancy. Nancy doesn't make it, I'm afraid. But she says, at least we got Freddy. Goodbye. Good day. And almost the last thing we see in the movie is Nancy's funeral. Neil's there, but he sees the nun from earlier over in the distance. Yeah, so he just abandons the funeral of his friend and just walks away, follows this nun. He follows her, she goes around a big tombstone and vanishes. Yeah, and he reads the tombstone and it says, Nancy Krueger. She was the nun. She was the one attacked by 100 maniacs. She was the one locked in there over the holiday. Right, they get it. She was Freddy Krueger's mum. Yeah. Woo! What a twist. Well, I don't know about that. And then the film finishes almost. Well, we see the paper mache house again. What? We see the papier mache house again. Papier mache? Yeah, okay. We see that house again in a bedroom and it's dark. And then suddenly the lights come on and music starts. Oh, is Freddy really gone? Probably not. There are 4 more films. Okay. Well, that was Freddy Krueger, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3, Dream Warriors. Yeah. Did you enjoy it? Yeah, it's the first time I've seen one all the way through. I've seen clips of one. Alright, okay. But this one's good. He's funny. He's sarcastic and he makes little one-liners. Yeah, I can't imagine that ever gets annoying. Well, we're good to go. But thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe. Please watch another video. And, sweet dreams.